Man of Steel had its chance to bring Superman to more modern times, but it failed with big percentage of them. That begs the question, what in Krypton's name happened? It's no secret that if you open any page or watch any video in which Man of Steel is discussed, you will see or hear how divided fans really are. Some even go so far as to praise it as a masterpiece, while for others this film is a travesty. But is there something that no one saw in Man of Steel? Something that makes this Superman completely misunderstood? And no, we don't mean the lack of his red trunks. Let's take a look at what the movie was and how Superman was portrayed as we uncover the superhero truth. The first question we have to answer is Man of Steel relatable? I'd say yes. And not only in terms of Superman, but also in terms of the world and its inhabitants, in which our hero has to live. I'm sorry folks, but this isn't the happy-go-lucky, full of rainbows and unicorns Earth in the comic books from the 1930s to the 1960s. This is more modern and realistic Earth, where people have different world views. Some of them are even more cynical and don't see everything through idealistic tinted glasses. Essentially, our hero finds himself in that kind of a world, and that is why he had to adapt to it. Now imagine that you have the personality of Clark, his beliefs and world views, and how would you feel in this situation? Of course, you won't be always smiling and saving cats from trees. There will be struggles and battles to overcome, just like we have them most of the days. But despite that we keep going, we find the strength to adapt and win and become a beacon of hope for others. Isn't this who Superman is? Isn't this relatable, especially nowadays? Let's look at some situations from Man of Steel and how Clark reacts to them. I will start with the scene in the diner, where Clark decides to not mop the floor with the horrible trucker. Now, a lot of people complain that he trashed his truck later out of petty feelings and that Superman would never do that. But if we go back to a small movie called Superman 2, won't we see a scene in a diner again where Clark comes back to put another bully trucker in his place after he got his powers back? Nobody said it's petty back then, because it actually isn't.
Gee, that's funny. I've never seen garbage eat garbage before. Excuse me, sir. I think you're sitting in my favorite seat.
Well, come and get it, Four Eyes.
Now, cool it, Rocky. Take it easy, will you? I just had this joint fixed. It cost me a fortune. Oh. Oh, God!
This order's to go. I'm terribly sorry about all the damage, sir. Well, I've been working out.
In both scenes, why did Clark trash the truck? Because, to quote another comic book character, with great power comes great responsibility. You have the responsibility to teach the bully a lesson. You are not the king of the world, and your action will have consequences. You bully, Clark doesn't kill the guy because, well, he shouldn't, but he should also do something that will make him think twice before he bullied someone else. He wouldn't do that in the classical comic book, you will say. But in Action Comics #1 from 1938, he did confronted a wife-beater, scaring the bejesus out of him so that he would never hurt anyone ever again. Exactly then Superman is showcased as the champion of the oppressed, taking a stand against injustice in various forms. Of course, we must talk about the kryptonite in the room, Zod's death. A lot of people have problem with this because of the belief that Superman wouldn't kill anyone. Okay, but then how should he stop the bad guy from killing the innocent family by putting a blindfold on his eyes? A hero must do what a hero must do when in dire situation. Clark isn't happy with his decision, as his painful scream shows us, because that is hurting him deeply. Not only he had to kill a person, but he had to kill one of his kind. Now he truly is the last son of Krypton. There was no other choice, but with his decision, Clark shows that he is ready to do whatever is necessary to save innocent lives. Zod wasn't innocent, but my question is, why people have a problem with this? Because nobody mentions how Superman killed the deep-powered Zod and his two henchmen in Superman 2.
He did it to them. I mean, the lights were on out here, while he was safe in there.
Hey, you know something? You're a real pain in the neck.
Would you look at that? A happy-go-lucky killing. Bravo! So, that's okay because they were very happy doing it, or what? Sure, the scene isn't as gritty as in Man of Steel, but they are still dead. Let that sink in. Also, in his early comics from 1938, Superman is throwing criminals in the sky, tossing them around or just straight dropping them down while in the sky. Now, the fact that our hero is put into this different and modern world doesn't mean that he straight up relinquishes all the classical qualities that make Superman, well, Superman. On the contrary, in Man of Steel, while the tone of the movie is darker and more grounded compared to earlier portrayals, there are still glimpses of the classical Superman personality that fans know and love, such as moral compass. Superman's unwavering commitment to doing what is right shines through. Despite the challenges and sacrifices, he consistently chooses to protect humanity even at a great personal cost. Compassion and empathy. Clark Kent's interactions with others, especially during his childhood and early adulthood, reflect his deep empathy for humanity. His desire to help and protect others, even when misunderstood, is a hallmark of the Superman character. Humility. Despite his immense power, Superman remains humble. He doesn't seek recognition or power, but instead focuses on using his abilities for the greater good. Dual identity. The film explores Clark Kent's struggle to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. This duality is central to Superman's character, as he balances being both an alien and a man raised on Earth. Symbol of hope.
On my world, it means hope.
The S on his chest is explicitly described as a symbol of hope in the movie. aligning with Superman's role as an inspirational figure in the DC universe. While Man of Steel reimagines Superman for the modern world, these traits ensure that the essence of the character remain intact. So honestly, Man of Steel isn't the first to do this. What will happen if I tell you that in 1986, the great John Byrne slightly deconstructed Superman in his mini comic book run, also called Man of Steel? Stop me if you heard this before. Slightly new origin. At first, Clark goes around the Earth saving people with no suit. Set in a modern, for that time, world with different sensibilities, but our hero, although a bit depowered, maintains his core ideals and beliefs. That is essentially a deconstruction, but back then nobody complained of the changes exactly because despite them, that Superman was still Superman. Man of Steel works as a deconstruction, but not a deconstruction of Superman himself. Rather, the world around him is what is really deconstructed. We can still recognize that Superman is Superman as a personality and in terms of sensibilities, but he has to adjust to a different world, making new, even questionable decisions, but still connected with saving and preserving human lives. So guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Watch this video and on to the next superhero truth.